And to talk more about this very unusual election is Tatsiana Kulakevich. She is a research fellow at the Institute on Russia at the University of South Florida. Thanks so much for joining us. This time around, the president had his first real challenge from an opponent who became a candidate to take the place of her husband, who was arrested on fraud charges. So why was this election so different from those in the past?
Well, thank you for having me. Hello. And this one had a lot of things coming together at the same time, including the coronavirus, economic, the economy performing very weakly, and an opportunity of kind of new candidates who showed their desire to run for presidency, as opposed to the situations before when it was the so-called old opposition. We saw new faces and people got hopeful.
Well, we're already seeing some pretty significant protests in Belarus, and there are concerns about the fairness of the electoral process. There's no international oversight, so how can we trust these results?
Well, the government is playing a very smart game right now. I've been monitoring the situation. Some polling stations report the victory for Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, who is the main opponent, and that will create some kind of illusion that there was kind of an attempt for it to be a little bit fair, but overwhelmingly the results will be for the current incumbent president. And because we do, like, for the first time in the history of independent Belarus, there are no OEC observers, and the official media channels will report the results, and if people will not be able to challenge with protests the results these days, today or tomorrow, and maybe the coming days, the results will stay.
What do you think it would take to have some kind of international oversight?
Well, we know everybody who is kind of, monitoring the elections saw that the West already, both the United States and the European Union, expressed their concerns over the detentions which were happening before the election, which is also a new thing for the first time again in the history of independent Belarus. Detentions before the elections, normally they were happening after the results were announced. There were more than 1,300 detentions, and the West expressed concerns, warns the government to not to be fair, to organize their elections to be fair and free. But at the same time, the West did not make any moves. They're waiting for the official results, and now we are looking at the protests which are ongoing. The protests have been being suppressed. Right now, the media reports that that law enforcement are using flash grenades, water cannons, and even rubber bullets to suppress the protests. And we'll see how the West will react. I think it's going to be some kind of retaliation. The government of Belarus, it's not strategically, it's not a good idea for them to have to be sanctioned. So right now, it's looking to kind of minimize the backlash from the West.
Okay,
but it's going to deteriorate.
Tatsiana Kulakevich.
How far, we'll see.
We're running out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. Research fellow at the University of South Florida.